09440981. You can also tweet at smooth981. And we're streaming live on YouTube as well. So you can catch the live stream on our YouTube page. You can post a comment. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. We're talking about Nigeria's oil output climbing to 1.2 million barrels in April. Our guest this morning is David Gwatau, investment research analyst, ARM Securities. Good morning, David, and welcome to Business Express.
Hi, good morning, and thanks for having me.
Pleasure, pleasure. All right. So once again, Nigeria has produced over 2 million barrels per day. Nigeria once produced over 2 million barrels, and right now
Yes.
we're at about 1.5. So what's going on? How did we get here?
Well, Nigeria's oil production slumping below 2 million barrels per day is not a recent development, if we're being honest, right? And many factors are behind this decline, which stem from structural inefficiencies that have plagued the industry since, I would say, the 1990s. Um, one of the most important things is oil theft and pipeline vandalism. So we've seen how oil theft and pipeline vandalism has significantly been a problem, leading to loss of production and revenue for the country. We've also seen the problem of aging infrastructure, right? Uh, we've also seen the issues around investment shortfalls, which boils down to lack of investment in exploration and maintenance, and which basically hindered the production growth in the sector.
Mm. All right. Now, should we be, optimistic? We hit 1.2 million. Should we, bring out the drums and be excited?
Oh well, I'll say not yet. There's reason for cautious optimism, uh, because yes, there has been a marginal climb, you know, compared to the last to March's production figures, but then for sustainability, we need to see the government address structural issues within the sector, which I have mentioned earlier in terms of oil theft, aging infrastructure, and investment shortfalls. Uh, but however, I'll see there's a bright spot in sight for oil production with the commencement of operations at OML 13 in Akwa Ibom. This was released by the NMPC about 2 days ago. Uh, it's a collaboration between the NMPCL uh, production and extraction units and the Natural Oil Field Service NOSL, which is subsidiary of Sterling Oil Exploration. This collaboration is expected to raise oil production by 40,000 barrels by May 27th. It commenced operations with about 6,000 barrels per day. So this is a bright spot for oil production. If we can actually achieve this, then we should see some kind of respite in oil production.
Now, Nigeria is still below OPEC's 1.5 million barrel quota. What are the implications, if any?
Well, not meeting the OPEC quota could have some implications actually, such as lower revenue. So Nigeria may receive less income from oil sales if it does not meet the OPEC quota. And I mean, under extreme cases, Nigeria could also face some OPEC sanctions, which could be, uh, in terms of quota cuts, as we saw, earlier in 2023. No, sorry, late part of 2023. So yeah, those are the kind of implications we should expect.
All right, we're speaking with David Gwatau, and we're talking about Nigeria's oil production. Now, the output from Nigeria is still lower than 1.78 million barrels that is seen in the budget for this year. What are the implications of just not meeting that budget target, really?
Well, so essentially, not meeting the 1.78 million barrels per day, which is the target on the budget. It just means a budget shortfall, right? Which means the government will have less revenue than they had anticipated, which will be forcing them to spend to reduce spending and increase borrowing in effect. And obviously, when the government decide to cut spending, it means that infrastructural development would also be affected. So where revenue should have been plowed in for essential infrastructural development, they will not be able to do all of that anymore. So
Wow.
those are the effects basically.
Okay. Can you see Nigeria attracting investments into the upstream oil sector? And
I
if you
mean,
can see that happening, how could it be done?
so yes, obviously it's with the IOCs, with IOCs leaving Nigeria and the domestic players taking over. There's a lot of room for investments. However, to attract investments, the government will have to fix structural issues, as I have said. So we talk about security improvements, you know, transparency and clear regulations, which the government is has been trying to achieve through the PIA, and also be able to ensure some kind of competitive investment terms. I'm talking about offering attractive returns compared to the other oil producing countries in Africa.
All right, if you've got a question or a comment, this is the time. Please send it across to us. You can do that via WhatsApp 0809 4440981. You can also tweet at Smooth981 or just post a comment on our live stream. We're streaming live on YouTube. Our channel is Smooth981. And if you're going to use Twitter, don't forget to use the hashtag. The hashtag is Business Express 981. Let's talk about the Naira. Back at 1 4 levels, maybe 1 5. Is this a constant reminder of how the oil sector has performed?
Okay, I like that question. Thank you for asking. So the naira depreciation can be seen as partly linked to the oil sector performance, um, because I mean, as oil revenue falls, there's less hard currency available to support the naira's value. So in simpler terms, basically, the oil revenue, which is a major source of FX inflow for Nigeria, uh, when we which means when we have lower revenue, when we are able to generate lower revenue from oil, it means lower exports, which means the country will not be able to, it's not attracting enough FX. And as we see, FX inflows is what strengthens the naira. So yes.
All right. We're speaking with David Gwatau, and David is an investment research analyst from ARM Securities. Um, David, can you see a scenario, right, where Nigeria gets back to 2 million barrels? What would eventually happen?
Okay, what would happen if Nigeria gets back to 2 million, or what would need to happen for
What
Nigeria
would
to get?
need to happen? And then when it does, what would happen? So it's like a two-pronged question. It's like a fork.
Okay. Okay, so let me start with what will happen. So if Nigeria gets to 2 million barrels, I mean it's good for the country. It means we'll have higher revenue, we generate higher revenue from our oil production, which is a plus. What would need to happen for that to be achieved, though, would be as government has already been crabbing down on oil theft and pipeline vandalism, we need to see significant um, we need to see some kind of significant improvements in that aspect. We need significant improvement also in the investment and exploration part of it, which would also imply um, better infrastructure, upgrading existing fields and exploring for new ones. Also, favorable global oil prices. I mean, we should be able to tap into the higher oil prices as it is. I mean, oil prices have been quite stable, relatively, and they've been quite high too. So we should be able to tap into this to be able to yes.
How important is it for us to diversify? Like, yes, we love you, oil, but just try to diversify.
So, economic diversification cannot be overemphasized, to be honest. Diversifying, sorry, away from oil is crucial for Nigeria uh, in terms of its long-term economic health. Oil is a finite resource, as we know, and its price is also very volatile, which means it's always fluctuating. You cannot particularly count on it. So, a more diversified economy is less vulnerable to oil price shocks. You know, if we have agriculture, if we have manufacturing and manufacturing sectors, so we build up our exports, and it's it will build a more resilient economy in general.
All right, let's go on to WhatsApp. Gilbert Musa says, Good morning. Like your analyst said, there is need for cautious optimism on the increase in oil outputs. Let us ask ourselves what precaution was taken when pipeline vandalism was high in the year 2000 upwards till 2010. We need to be proactive.
I agree.
All right. Well, that is all the time that we have for Business Express this morning. Thank you for listening. Thanks for sending your thoughts through. And of course, special thanks to our guest, David Gwatau, for being with us on the show this morning. Thank you, David.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
That was David Gwatau.